Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Slim Nation AM. Of course, my name is James Slim Overton, and let me hold my favorite cup up here like I do every morning. We have the Slim Nation Dad, Papa, and came from my daughter and my granddaughter,
All
Jamie
right.
and Zuri. And good
Fantastic.
morning, Philip, as well. And of course, always a salute to my lovely wife, Benay. But anyway, we have a special guest here with me this morning on the Slim Nation, and his name is Garry Harris. He's a Portsmouth native, went to Manor High School. um,
Go Mustangs.
yeah, we tried to get him at Norcom, but we did get his brother at Norcom, so that's close enough. But
I'm staying
anyway,
put. I'm staying put.
how about it? Yes, yes, indeed. But what up? But we appreciate. We had him on the show before when he came into the studio, and that's been a while. But
Yeah.
ever since the pandemic, we've been doing. Well, he was on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. Well, he was on in the studio was a different show,
Yeah.
and then it turned into Portsmouth Coffee Talk
Right.
after the
Right.
pandemic. So we
Uh-huh.
kind of stayed this way because it made it easier for our guests to come on rather than coming into the studio,
Yeah.
especially now since Gary is not in town, so we can catch him anywhere he is. But good morning, Gary. How you doing, bro?
Hey, doing great. Doing great. Appreciate me being here this morning and such.
Yeah,
I am so excited about being on the show.
yeah,
I've watched you grow. I've watched you grow over the years and such, and really proud of your stick to itness and such when it comes to radio and such. So really excited about it. We ventured also in the radio in the radio, trying to get this message out about climate and such.
right.
But because what happens is, our most underrepresented, our most vulnerable communities and such, are going to bear the brunt of climate change and
Mm-hmm,
such.
mm-hmm,
And really, they don't know that much about it. The awareness, the education, the messaging is really not reaching there and such. So
right.
we thought ourselves, we said, hey, Slim Nation is doing this. We can do this. So
Yeah,
so we hooked up with a radio station in Atlanta, the WAOK AM and such. And now we have a quarterly broadcast called "Why Our Communities Must Care About Climate" and such. Because we need to reach our communities with messages of equity, resilience, and climate action, such that they can get prepared for this. Not only prepared for this, but also reap some of the benefits that's coming as well.
coming down the pike. And Gary, and you talk about our communities, and we hear a lot bit about it on the surface, but we don't get into the depths of it. And in conversations sitting around, we can talk about, hey man, isn't the weather kind of strange? Isn't it strange that it's raining or it's
Uh-huh.
cold or
Right,
we
right,
didn't exactly have a full winter, you know.
right.
But we talk about it in general, but we don't really get into the crust of it and things that we really need to be aware of and be
Uh-huh.
doing
Right.
to either reverse this or some things might be irreversible. But I'll let you talk more about that. You
Well, it involves everyone. All stakeholders have to be involved. Elected officials, nonprofit groups and such, community leaders, residents. We all have to start to think about, climate, because it's going to affect us in so many ways, from an economic perspective, from a health perspective, from some severe weather perspective. We're going to see increases in tornadoes, increases in hurricanes. It's going to get hotter and such. The rain is going to come down faster and harder
Mhm.
and such. So we've got to be prepared for that. And that means we have to build resilient communities, i.e., resilience means when I push on something, we can push back. Not only push back, but push back with enough force to try and mitigate, but also in a timely manner as well. So how do we push back? Well, we gotta have the infrastructure to do that. We gotta have some financing sometimes to do that as well. We've got to have the political will, to take the action. We've got to have leaders and champions doing this in communities themselves. We've got to have the right policy in place. That's what's going to push back, and push back not in 30 days after an incident, not in 60 days, but immediately and such.
Yeah,
Such that we're having not only a resilient community, but one based on equity as well.
yeah. But Gary, I mentioned that you went to Manor High School, but let me, just say a few of the educational opportunities that you
Oh,
had,
yeah.
just so people. I mean, just a few, so people will know that what's coming out of your mouth is coming
Well,
from.
I can tell them. I can
Yeah,
tell
go
them
ahead. You
who I
tell them what
am.
you want.
I call myself these days. I call myself, all the academic degrees and credentials and stuff. That's one thing, but I picture myself these days as an engineer, as a scientist, as an educator, as an advocate, activist, and faith leader.
Mhm,
Because you know what? It takes all those hats,
mhm,
to really build our communities these days. If we're trying to build strong, vibrant, sustainable communities, it's going to take all those stakeholders, in actions and programs and projects in all those areas as well. So I wear those hats because I have taken on the challenge of building a more just, sustainable, equitable, and resilient for all. You know, so that's what we do. We do that all day long, every day, and such. Last year, for instance, we did some 90 different projects, associated with all this climate, environment stuff, and equity stuff as well. 90 different projects. Not only that, so my background, I'm kind of an engineer, scientist kind of guy. So we've created something called just science, i.e., justice science. So it says that we apply science, technology, engineering, math, research, and we come out with just solutions. And just means what? Fair treatment, equal access, sharing of resources, being at the table, amplifying voices and such. So we use that just science process a lot, and really come out with some decent technologies to try and help us in terms of these environmental challenges, climate challenges, and health challenges as well. Example, we work with the White House in their climate justice and economic screening tool and such. That's an app-based solution where you can get in there, you can find out, okay, which counties and which cities and which communities are facing climate burdens, climate justice burdens, and at the same time, that they have stressors, economic stressors from lower income and housing affordability, et cetera, et cetera. So we helped to develop that tool in conjunction with the White House. Now it's used nationwide and such to locate these communities. Why is that important? Well, there's something called the bipartisan infrastructure bill and such, and uh, 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 all this legislation is going to be pointing monies directly towards communities. Well, how do you know which communities need the resources? Well, this economic screening tool, this climate justice tool, is being pushed by the Council on Environmental Quality, which is a White House office, and such, and other federal agencies now to direct this funding to the communities that need it most. That's equity and such. So we've done that, and example of another just science thing we've done. We've done a lot. We've worked with the Department of Commerce to develop a transit resilience and essential commuting tool. Check this out. When some folks, when we found out during COVID that we suddenly have all these essential workers. Okay, they're suddenly now essential. Like our healthcare folks, our educators, our folks in the grocery stores, and all that stuff. Well, a lot of these folks use public transportation and such.
mhm.
But during COVID and other severe weather phenomena, the transportation routes and stuff like that may become hindered. So we developed an app to,
Mhm.
to help folks, essential workers now, find their ways to work and such during these climate events and such. That's resilience, that's using science and technology to ensure. But wait, who takes transit? folks on the lower income scale, folks who don't own cars, et cetera, et cetera. So in that way we can level the playing field and such. So we use science and technology engineering a lot, to come out with justice solutions and such. But yeah, back in the day, I was a climate advocate. I was out there marching in the streets and stuff like that, and holding up signs and all that sort of stuff. And I still do that. But we also get in the lab. We also do the research. We
Mhm.
also do the interviews and such, and the analysis. To come up with these solutions. To help make our lives better. That's what it's about. Okay, it's about saving lives and improving the quality of life for everybody and such. And we have fun in it.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier about making sure the information gets out to the communities and the
Yeah,
people,
that's right.
because it's going to take the people. Because
That's
we
right.
mentioned about the some politicians, because of certain agendas they may have, they ignore the scientific evidence that's in
Yeah,
their
that's right.
face.
That's
And
right.
so it's going to have to take the more knowledgeable the people
Uh-huh.
are of what, of
Yeah.
what's going on, that they can
Uh-huh.
and I use that word
It-
strongly, demand their representatives to take a look at this and make sure
mhm.
policies reflect what you all are trying to do.
Yep, great point. But also, and when we talk about justice, we can't talk about the environment without talking about environmental justice
Mhm.
and such. And one attribute of environmental justice is the fact that it's not only effective and not only decreases the disparities, but it's done in a timely manner. We can't wait, till the next election cycle, for justice to take place. We have got to hold ourselves accountable and such and take action. We can't wait on the city council person or on the regional coordinator or on the agency and such. If we see something's wrong, we have to take action. Not only take action, but ensure people are involved in processes, okay, which are important to them, such that they can take action. Example: planning, zoning, development and such. We need folks involved in those processes and such. And we've even developed technology around that as well. Example: if somebody was building something, close to our community, now we have a means through technology called the building EJ tool and
Mhm.
such, that will inform the architects, that will inform the designers, inform the planners and such, that, hey, if you design this thing, you need to talk to those folks over there, and get them involved in the process. This thing about climate and such, one of the key aspects of it is that we move along a spectrum of community engagement. We not only inform them by sending out brochures or something like that, but we engage them in a meaningful manner and such. We involve them in processes. We make them part of the team and
Mhm.
such. That builds resilience in communities. That makes communities stronger and such. It's not one-off events. It's continuous projects, activities, and dialogue and such, getting folks involved in these processes.
Yeah, I thank you for that. And a friend of mine is watching Michelle Smith, and she lives in Cavalier Manor section of Portsmouth. So I don't know if you know her, but she's been advocating, getting back to growing our own
Yeah, that's right.
food and things
Burn
like
own
that. So
food.
how does that sort of
Oh,
combinate
extremely
with what you're
important.
trying to do as far as really saving the planet?
Extremely important.
Mhm.
Extremely important. Right? Because one, food consumption, food consumption equals materials, equals energy, equals water, equals land.
Mhm.
Okay. So all of those are resources and such. So the more food we grow, the more stuff we use to produce the food. Now, not only producing the food, but after we produce it, we got to do what? We got to harvest it.
Mhm.
We got to inspect it. We got to transport it. We got to distribute it. We got to put it on shelves, and then we have to refrigerate it. Well, guess what? All that takes what? energy.
Yeah.
Okay. So the closer that we can produce food to the point where it's consumed, guess what? The less energy we use. And if we use less energy, guess what? The less emissions go up into the atmosphere. And guess what? The less emissions go up into the atmosphere, what happens? We help to mitigate climate change. So one of the aspects of growing food locally is that we remove all of this energy cycle and such. Not only energy, but materials as well.
Mhm.
Okay. And then secondly, it just enhances our democracy. We need to have choices about our own food. We need to, not Kroger's chooses for us, not Publix chooses for us, not Food Line chooses for us, but we need to choose our food cycle and such. So growing our own helps us to ensure we get that fresh food, etc. Not only that, it gets us back out in nature. Okay.
Mhm.
We got to cut this stuff out. This online stuff is great, but we got to get outside.
Yeah.
I got a birthday coming up here next week and such, and I have pledged to walk from my house in Capitol Manor to the ocean front
Oh,
in
wow.
Virginia Beach. Okay. All right. I'm going to do that for several reasons, but anyway,
So last Saturday was a tune-up for that.
yeah, that's
'Cause
right. That's
I
right.
saw you out there
Open the blogs, man.
walking for mental health,
Right.
and you said we got to get out. That's why I try to get out with my camera as much as I can.
Yeah.
With the weather
Great.
like it is, and been down to the farmers market, and
Uh-huh.
you'll see me at other different locations throughout the city and Hampton
Yeah.
Roads, just getting out and showing people the beauty of nature and how we
Uh-huh.
need to preserve it.
Yeah. So we've got to get out and enjoy nature, and one way of doing that is growing our own food.
Mhm.
Okay. Is lower cost, is fresher. We till the soil and such. We're out breathing fresh air. We reduce energy costs, reduce fertilizers, reduce materials. All of that stuff, saves our planet, saves us in terms of health and such. Because most of the time when we're doing community gardening and such, we're not adding pesticides, we're not adding
Yeah.
fertilizers. We're not doing all that stuff.
We
And so
plant it, it grows, we eat it.
that's right. Plant it, go eat it, harvest it. That's sort of like cook it up, fry it up,
Yep,
mix
yep.
it up, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So that is extremely important. Not only that, we can try and shift some of those products that we don't use to those who need to use them. The environment equals sustainable development, and sustainable development means that yeah, we grow our own food, but also we eliminate hunger, we eliminate poverty, we ensure everybody has a high quality education, we use our land wisely, our water wisely, our air, we make sure it's clean and such. We take action on climate. We build cities and communities in a sustainable manner and such. We ensure gender equality, believe it or not. That's even part of the environment. And a safe environment is part of the environment as well. We ensure that we recycle.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
recycle, reuse, repurpose materials all the time. I take a bottle like this. If I'm on the plane and such, I put it in my bag and wait till I can find a recycle bin.
Mhm.
But see, not only can we do it with stuff like this, but we can do it with houses.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, when you walk around our community, you see where developers have come in and gutted homes out. They got these great big waste containers out front and everything. Well, guess where that waste goes? Landfills,
Yeah. Yeah.
landfills.
And
Very little of that waste is repurposed.
right.
So
And
you
it's
don't
not
you know,
degradable. It just sits there, right?
that's right. That's right. You could make it degree, you could chop it up or something like
Mm.
that. See, the thing is, everything, everything can be recycled, reused, repurposed, okay, and such. And that's another way. And even these houses, which unfortunately we're tearing down and such, and the waste goes into these great big bins. That waste can be repurposed, okay. All those 2x4s and such, can we put it, can we use to make new houses and such?
Mhm.
And guess what? You can create a workforce around that as well. We're doing that in other parts of the country. That's called deconstruction and such. So you heard of construction? Well, when you destruct as well, you can use those materials, and repurpose them. You can make a church out of it,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. So, and that's another thing, all of this, excuse me for a second here.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, sorry. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Allergies,
Yeah.
nature.
Nature.
Uh, all of this is about what? It's about the care of creation.
Mm.
Okay. God gave us this wonderful, wonderful earth. Okay. And we done screwed it up. You
Yeah.
know, he said, thou shall, in his voice, thou shall, make sure that my resources are used in a good manner. You shall be a steward of my planet and not dominant over it. That's in Genesis and such. But we said, but we've done just the opposite and such. And so we need to get back to teaching creation care ministry in our churches. I led the creation care ministry at the historic Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta for 10 years and such. And out of that came faith-based ministries, not only at that church, but also in other churches as well around the country and such. I took a ministry, check this out. I took a singles ministry, okay, with folks trying to get a hookup in church and sort of thing. I took that singles ministry and made an environmental ministry out of it and such. So I had folks walking around the woods, holding hands, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so
Now that's true nature there,
well, that we
You go into nature and let nature take place.
yeah, so, sometimes get in the woods can cause nature to go in directions we don't want it to go.
Yeah, they go a little too far. You go back to that Adam and Eve thing. But
There you go.
anyway,
Yeah.
but look, Garry, I wanted to bring this up to it, and I keep saying I appreciate it. And what I'll say on camera right now, what I want to do with you as far as the Slim Nation, at least have you on once a month. One of our morning shows, whatever works out for you on your schedule,
Okay.
because I want to make sure that we keep this environmental thing out in front of the people that really need to hear it.
Absolutely.
I wanted to bring this up. I saw this, and this might be in the future. I saw a video about a funeral home director talking about how the direction might go as far as the way we bury people,
Yeah, that's right.
and having the degradable caskets.
Yeah, that's
because
right.
we're taking up a lot of our land
volume,
space.
a lot of space, land use,
Right.
and yeah, there's a spiritual context, and
Yeah.
and maybe from a faith-based perspective, there's some deep scripture there, which talks about this, and maybe not in our Bible, in King James version, but the Quran may speak to it. The Buddhists may speak to it. Hindus may speak to it. Some remember when folks were mummified.
Yeah.
Back in the day, and that was based partially on religious context, cultural context as well. But now, we are a bit smarter about this. To be honest with you, not only are we saying, hey, all that cemetery land can can be also beneficial to communities by repurposing it, that sort of thing. But also, does it really make sense? For us to use resources in this manner and such, because land is so precious, and materials, resources. I mean, again, that casket is made out of what? Iron. Or aluminum, or some other materials. There's paints and stuff, adhesives, and there's cloth. There's materials there and such. So all of that, anytime we make something, it has to be extracted from the earth.
Right.
Okay. So anytime we're robbing the earth like that, we have to ask ourselves, is it nice to do? Or was it need to do? Okay. So are we extracting because, I want to, I want to be buried in this nice, great big casket that looks great, and everybody goes, ah, I can't hear it, but everybody goes, ah, that sort of thing.
Mhm.
So or do I want to, I want to be conservative, because again, it goes back to the care of creation. One, and that's four principles and such. And ask your pastor to preach on this. It's about one, being good stewards of the earth. And that means air, land, water, resources, minerals, all that sort of stuff. Be good stewards, It's just only using what's necessary,
Mm.
you know. And then two, you know, making sure that everybody gets to share in
Mm.
these resources, not just the United States, and that sort of thing, and or the richest county in Virginia, that sort of thing, but everybody gets to use the resources in an equitable manner and such. Three, we want to make sure that that those resources, when they are extracted, they're used in a sustainable manner and such. And i.e., we extract them, but we leave enough left over for the future generation. Okay, that's what sustainability is.
Yes.
That's what environment is. That we're using our resources now, for the future, and also we're saving some for the future. So ask yourself, do I really need that new car? Or can I just ride in this one, till it falls apart? Do I really need, to have that that new refrigerator? Well, yeah, maybe because it's energy efficient. But what do I do with the old one? You
Mm.
know, and such. How do I not make sure it's going directly to the landfill, etc. So, and then lastly, with creation care, we got to know that everything was created by the hand of God, you know, and we need to be respectful of that as well. So four principles and such, I live that by those every day, etc. This work that we're doing for me is all about purpose. It's not about writing a grant. It's not about getting funding. It's not about recognition. It's not about you know being a big brand or something like that. It's about purpose, and for me, my purpose, again, is to make a more just, sustainable, equitable, and resilient world for all. We do that every day, all day long, and such. I've been up since 3:30 this morning,
Mm.
and such. Uh, 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 Tomorrow, for example, again, in this theme of making a world for all, I'm traveling to middle Georgia and actually teaching K-12 students about the carbon cycle and
Mm.
climate change. So I got to leave from Athens, where I am now, at about 3 a.m., get down to Atlanta, get a rental car, and then drive to middle Georgia and be in the classroom ready to teach at 9 a.m.,
Yeah. Well, we
and,
appreciate your
and
dedication there because
well, well,
that's what it's going to take. And you are one of many that are out there championing, what we need to do and what
right.
we need to be aware of,
Yeah,
going forward.
yeah. Well, appreciate that. So what motivates me is my passion and my purpose.
Mm.
And also in the African American community, um, um, we don't teach creation care that much in church.
Mm.
We don't teach creation. We don't teach environmental stewardship in school that much. We don't have a lot of radio programs like Slim Nation
Mm.
that are unafraid to take this on, and talk about it and such. Because sometimes in this environmental field, there can be benefits and there can be challenges. There can be access and then there can be barriers and such, you know. And particularly when the regulation comes in hand, that can promote growth, it can inhibit growth as well. So, but we have to step back and ask ourselves, how can we maximize the benefits to our community, the positive benefits to our community from this environmental initiatives, projects, activities, events, and such? How can we do that?
Yeah, well, I mean that is the question. That's the number one question. And Gary, as we close this one out and look forward to many more sessions with you. I want to ask this question about, you
Yeah.
know, as we look at the future of our young students coming up,
Oh, yeah.
because they're going to have to
Oh,
take that
yeah.
mantle and they're going to have to be
Oh, yeah.
educated. You know, you
Uh-huh.
got the STEM programs.
Yeah.
How important is it for us to be teaching that kind of environmental education to our young students so they can take the mantle, or they'll be convinced early on that this
Uh-huh.
is real and
Yeah.
not let politics be a
Yeah.
part of their decisions.
Yeah. Over the next 2 days, I'll be teaching about 300 students
Mhm.
about the environment and climate and mit- mitigation strategies and techniques. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I'm not getting paid to do that.
Oh,
And
wow.
such, but it's what I should do.
Mhm.
Okay, because just what you said, we've got to have when I'm long and gone, out of here, we've got to have folks coming behind me, taking up the mantle and such, leading the charge, being champions, being leaders and such, and so we when the opportunity arises, we've got to move on it. When the teacher says, Mr. Harris, can you come talk to my class? And my class is located in rural Georgia, and my students don't know anything about climate, and they're from underserved uh, uh, poverty entrenched backgrounds, and they need someone to come to the classroom who looks like you to convince them to get into careers and get paid for this. That's the charge. Okay. That's the driver. That's the motivator and such. So I'll have opportunity to try and reach 300 kids over the next
Mhm.
2 days and get them into this environmental field where they're jobs after jobs after jobs after jobs quickly. Offshore wind in Hampton Roads. We're
Mhm.
working with that as well.
Yeah.
860 job categories,
Mhm.
not just jobs, but job categories across the board and such. So if I don't go to middle Georgia and say 860 job categories, and they're never here, you know, they will never have the exposure, never have the experience. So that's the motivator, making a difference, impacts, making the world more just, equitable, resilient. It takes action, takes sacrifice, takes commitment, takes passion, takes purpose.
Yeah,
That's why.
yeah, and you mentioned about the underserved and where you be going as we sit, in certain areas and enjoy safe drinking water and everything. Can you
That's right.
imagine a
Yeah, yeah.
whole
It doesn't exist.
town or city not
Or
being able
country. Yeah,
to use the drinking water that
that's right.
that your taxes pay for
Look at
because of contamination, or
look at Jackson, Mississippi.
Jackson, Mississippi, and
Look at Flint, Michigan.
Flint, Michigan?
And it can
Still,
turn.
the people there still are suffering the ramifications
Yeah, that's right.
of drinking that kind of water or being involved, even taking a bath in that kind of
Exactly.
yeah.
And we take clean air for granted as well. And quickly, I'm going down to Port Arthur, Texas, here in a few days, where they have a whole bunch of oil refineries, and those oil refineries are doing what? They're flaring off.
Mhm.
That sort of thing. So we're gonna go down there and see if we can straighten that out.
Yeah, well, keep up the good work, and I appreciate you. And like I said, you're going to be a regular here on the Slim Nation
Oh,
AM,
I appreciate that.
and because we want to, like I said, we want to keep this message out there in the forefront. So whoever watches me on YouTube or Facebook Live, we just want that message to get out there.
Yeah,
We want to
sure.
do our part. But
Absolutely.
thanks a lot, because it was like a last minute thing with you, but we appreciate you. But that's how we do in Portsmouth. That's how we
And lastly, go Mustangs.
yeah. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Shout out to your brothers there. You give a shout out to your brothers. He's a member of Omega Sapphire. So and I think some of that dedication to service started back when he
Oh, it did. It
legend
absolutely.
Sapphire.
Absolutely.
That's a part of
That
what was
started
already
right
in
there.
right.
Right there.
All right.
Absolutely. Uh-huh.
All right. Thank you, guy. We appreciate
All
that.
right.
And Thanks everybody for watching.
Okay, all right.
And join us Thursday morning on Slim Nation AM as I have another guest and we have a very important discussion. We
Okay.
appreciate you and be aware, be informed, and as always, be involved. And remember, your vote is your voice. Take care. Have a great day.
Okay. See ya.
See you. Thanks again, Beck.